Hi, I'm Anthony Gizmani, and welcome to our Follow the Grapes series as we check out the harvest for 2020 on GizmaniOnWine.com across British Columbia. The goal today is, and throughout the next 6 weeks, is to get an update on what's going on in the vineyards live across British Columbia. Today, we're going to start on the edge of the Fraser River, about an hour and a half north of Whistler, in fact, at mile 0 of the old Gold Rush Trail. And our guest is Rolf de Bruin, and Rolf is from Fort Berens Estate Winery. Rolf, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Great to see you. Where are you? Tell us exactly where you are.
Well, I'm standing here in the Fraser Bench vineyard, and so today we're harvesting Chardonnay in this vineyard. As you can see, we're on the bench of the Fraser River that runs through Lillooet and then down to the coast. And this is a little bench that's just on the west side of the Fraser.
Well, we've heard with the pandemic that it's hard to find people. Who's out there today harvesting with you, and how hard has that been to organize all that?
Well, I think this is a little different because this is a family vineyard, and so I think there is the Pulowskis own the vineyard, and there's Keith and Jody that do most of the work throughout the year that are harvesting. There's Dad that is here. Their children are here. A sister of Jody is here. And a matter of fact, I saw Crystal Richard as well. So Crystal Richard, the neighbor, a longtime grape grower here in Lillooet, that is helping out as well. And so, like I said, it is truly a family affair. And so I don't think it was too difficult to get pickers out here today. There's lots of coffee and goodies, and I think that's the reward that they're looking forward to.
We're just past mid-September, really, in the province. But how would you position Lillooet, say, with Vancouver Island or the Okanagan? Or you feel like you're ahead, or even, or behind, or how's it worked out?
Well, it's been an interesting vintage in that sense that the spring was a little slower than usual. The summer was pretty good, but not exceptionally warm that we were able to catch up on time, but we didn't lose any time during the summer. But the last part of August and early part of September were really, really hot here. We saw some really good heat, and so that really helped to ripen a lot of fruit here in Lillooet. And so in that sense, I think we're a little bit ahead of the Okanagan. Particularly the North Okanagan, we see that the Pinot Gris there is still weeks away, while we're looking to pick our Pinot Gris here midweek next week. So, like I said, we're pretty happy with that spurt of warmer weather that we had, and because it really sort of pushed the sugars up. And now it's a bit cooler. We had that smoke that came in from California. And it reduced the temperature a little bit, but I think it's sort of playing in our favor because a lot of the grapes have sort of ripened at the same time. We've been picking Pinot Noir for our rosé starting the early part of last week, and Pinot Gris is ready, the Chardonnay is ready, and so having a little bit cooler weather gives us a little bit more time so that we don't have to worry about the sugars going up even further. And so it's been, like I said, in that sense, things are working out pretty well for us. And once we pick all the whites here in Lillooet, I think we'll go to our growers in the Okanagan and pick some of the Chardonnay and Pinot Gris there.
Yeah. You've been in the region since '09. Does this harvest remind you of any others in terms of its quality or size, or?
Yeah, so it is going to be a slightly smaller crop, and particularly what we're seeing is that our berry size is a little bit smaller. Bunches are a little bit smaller, and but I think that's a really good thing.
Good for quality, yeah.
Yeah, berry size means everything, particularly for color, and so we're going to see some really nice colors come out, good flavor intensity, and it'll be I don't know which vintage it reminds me of, and I mean maybe because like 15 and 13 were super, super hot, and it hasn't really been that way. I think it's more like the 14 vintage where we had a little bit of a cooler fall.
Mm-hmm.
But our crop was fairly heavy in 14, so being cooler, was more of a struggle. And now I think we're doing really good in terms of getting things ripe. And
Uh, okay, can you take us on a little journey maybe and see what's going on today there? And we'd love to
yeah,
have a look at the grapes.
so I'll take you just down. So like I said, it is about an acre here, and look at these clusters.
Wow.
That's so like I said, I mean, you can see that the berries are normally, if you look at Chardonnay, it can be quite a tight bunch,
Yeah,
and
it looks
here
loose.
they're fairly loose, and
Yeah.
so that's what we have been seeing in the majority of this vineyard. And so this is Doug Robson, the neighbor who's helping out, and so like I said, it's we started here this morning at 8 o'clock, and there's Crystal Richard. And so, like I said, we're trying to keep our distance, and so that's
Yeah. So you mentioned that you picked a bit of Pinot Noir the other day. That was just for the rosé, and so the rest of the Pinot will come in a bit later.
yeah. So we have 4 clones that were reserved for our rosé, and then we have 1 clone that's reserved for our Pinot Noir reserve. And so we'll be picking the reserve probably in 2 weeks. We'll have to see how that develops, and
Mm-hmm.
it is much lighter cropped, and so in that sense, its development goes a little bit quicker, just because you don't have the load of fruit like you have on for the rosé. And so, but the longer that we can keep it on, the better it is for that. And that's sort of the really nice thing about having a block for rosé and a block for our Pinot Noir, just because
Yeah.
you can manage it different. The cropping levels are different. Our vineyard practices are very different for those 2 blocks.
Well, when you started out, you were getting a number of grapes from other parts of British Columbia. Your vineyards are now maturing. What is the goal? Will you try to be a 100% Lillooet based producer at some point, or?
Yeah, so certainly for our reserve wines, we've sort of set the goal to be 100% Lillooet VQA. Now that designation came into play about 2 years ago. So and we planted another 18 acres 2 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
or over the last 2 years. And so we're actually harvesting a little bit of Merlot and Cabernet Franc from Red Rock Vineyard. So that's our second vineyard, and we'll be using that for rosé as well, just because there are juveniles, and we'll rather use that. Well, I got to move here, because I got a little cart coming here, and oh, there's our little cart. Yeah, so once Red Rock becomes more mature in about 2 or 3 years, we'll be much more able to use all the grapes from our own vineyard.
Yeah.
We're still encouraging other growers like the Pulowskis and other farmers here to plant some acreage. We were talking to a rancher earlier this summer, and he has 800 acres and does cattle and that sort of stuff. And he's like, yeah, I got a 20-acre plot I haven't been using, and so like I said, we're hoping that we see some more developments in this region, and because like I said, I mean, I prefer to have everything local, not just for logistical reasons, but it is a very different climate in some respects, and yeah, I'd like to be able to demonstrate that in all of our wines and not just our reserve wines.
Yeah. Okay. So what's up next, and how long will the harvest go, do you think, in Lillooet, if you're looking at it now?
Yeah, it's hard to say, because it's like we're going to be picking the Pinot Gris Chardonnay. All the whites will come off except the Riesling will come off in the next week and a half or 2 weeks, basically as quick as we can pick it, because we're having a little bit more difficulty finding pickers. And
Mm-hmm.
but I think we're lucky, because The Okanagan is not that far, so there's a lot of great pickers in the Okanagan, sort of waiting for things to come along. So they're sending some people up from the Okanagan our way, so that'll help. But yeah, and then with Merlot and Cab Franc, it'll just we'll have to see a little bit when that's going to be ripe. Like I said, the forecast is pretty stable for the rest of September, and so we'll see when that's ripe and when that we can get that in. But I suspect that will be mid-October. Third week of October is typically when the Cab Franc and the Riesling will come in.
We see that you haven't completely escaped the smoke that's covering most of the Western North America. Has it been a big issue, or just lately?
Well, as you can see right now, it's mostly cloud formations that we see. So it is clearing up. The smoke is clearing up a little bit, and we had a bit of rain overnight, and so it's been in that sense it's been refreshing. The smoke was smoke has a number of different impacts. One is smoke taint, and we're not so worried about that because the smoke is from fairly far away. It's been in the air for quite some time. The volatile phenols that can cause smoke taint have stabilized, and so because for smoke taint you need really fresh smoke, and as research has indicated, so we haven't, we're not too worried about that. The smoke was in a fairly big column, again, so that the concentration on ground level wasn't that high. There's particles, but it's more that you get reduced UV and you get reduced sunshine hours, and so those things have an impact. And but like I said, I'm not too worried, just because we had good ripening late August and early September, and but it just, we learned from it that smoke is going to be an issue every year, and we may have it early in July due to local fires, or we may have it later in the season due to California or Oregon or Washington. So it's just something that we have to account for.
Well, Rolf, we really appreciate your time today. And if I was from Bordeaux, I'd be particularly happy to see that river running right beside the vineyard. They say you can't make great wine without a river or water in view. So we wish you luck with the 2020 harvest, and thanks so much for joining us this morning. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tony. Very good.
Yeah, and to everybody, thanks for watching us. There's plenty more to come on the series as we follow the grape across British Columbia on YouTube, our social media, and Gizmondi on Wine website. So stick around as we'll bring you more and more stories from Harvest 2020 across British Columbia.